Bunu gruplara paylaşalım arkadaşlar. Evet, azıcık bekleyelim arkadaşlar toplansın. All right. Good evening, everybody. Today we have a very important guest, Senator of Georgia, Senator Sheikh Rahman is a first generation Asian Democrat, is the first immigrant to serve the Georgia State Senate. He was elected in 2018. He represents 5th Senate District in the heart of Gwinnett, which is the Georgia most diverse county. In the Senate, Senator Rahman serves in agriculture and consumer affairs, government oversight, special judiciary, state institutions, and property and urban affairs committee. Senator Rahman lives in Lawrenceville with his 2 children and the wife for 26 years. I will ask Senator to come to the camera. Let's see. Senator, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for taking our invitation. It's an honor to have you tonight on a busy Friday night. Senator, as we don't want to be very, kind of long on the tonight show, let's start from your little bit background. Tell us about yourself, how immigrant today represent a 5th district in Georgia.
Well, I'm an immigrant myself. I came to this country from Bangladesh in 1981, January 1981, right after Jimmy Carter lost his election. So it's been a long time, and we didn't have that many immigrants at that particular time. So since then, it's almost 40 years. But one of the good thing about it, in Georgia, the district I represent is 4th most diverse state senate district in the country. It's not only just this, of course, the most diverse state senate district in Georgia, but in the country, right behind New York, San Francisco, and Miami. I have people in my district came from more than 100 different countries, speak more than 100 different languages.
That's in your 5th district.
That's my 5th district. That's my 5th district. This, I'm not talking about Georgia. This is my district.
Okay.
More than 100 countries, speak more than 100 different languages. So I'm honored to represent. I feel like that I represent like United Nations of Georgia, because so many people. And I'm honored and I'm glad that I represent people can look at me, immigrant from all over the world, and they say, hey, if this guy been senator, I can go to this gentleman. I can go talk to him. He'll understand. So it's a lengthy process, but I'm honored to do that.
Okay, so as I was reading your background, tell us about how hard was it for you to come even to United States, and what educational level should you take to be a senator today?
Well, as it's not a mandatory you have a certain age, But and I graduated from University of Georgia. When I came to this country, actually, I went to school at community college after I finishing my high school in back in Bangladesh. Came to North Carolina, actually. Went to school for a couple of years and I dropped out because economy was bad, just like as an immigrant. So my first job was a dishwasher. I was trying to work as just to survive. Economy was really bad when I came in at that in 80s. So anyway, so I dropped out of school and later on I went back after 8 years out of school. I went back, got my associate degree. I went back to University of Georgia, got a degree in economics and global studies. And I specialized in American politics because I was interested to get involved in politics. So I specialized, so I do have a college degree, and a couple of others, certificate program. I also took a course last semesters online in Harvard University. So I'm trying to do whatever, education never stop. You can always learn, but that's part of it. But you have to work extra hard, you have to work extra hard in get to know your community in order to get elected.
Probably the one of the questions these days, everybody probably asks each other, why you Democrat, not, for example, Republican?
Well, as soon I came in, I checked around. I have, there's nothing wrong with political party, but the thing is who welcome you, how you feel more comfortable. So the reason I'm a Democrat, it aligns with my value, what I believe. And I think even though a lot of politician people, they want you to vote, they want you to be there, but they don't want you to be in the leadership position. They don't want you to be in running the party. But I was always ambitious. I always wanted to make sure I can move up through the party. I'm the only guy, I'm the first Asian, and the second Asian American actually elected to the Democratic National Committee. And I was elected, I was the first Muslim ever elected to the Democratic National Executive Committee at the highest level. A lot of people know about the Keith Ellison and some of the folks at the DNC. They
Right.
don't know that I'm the one first Muslim ever elected went to the highest level. And there was an opportunity for me. I could move up. There wasn't as much as discrimination with my party compared to other party. So there was access. It wasn't easy. I had to prove that I'm better. I'm not necessarily I'm better than anybody else, but at least I was at the same level, you know.
As you served your first 2 years, if I'm not mistaken,
Sure,
um, you got reelected this year again,
that's correct.
and I congratulate you
Thank
with
you.
the reelection. What you've done in the first 2 years of your service?
Well, mostly, of course, we try to pass a lot of different kind of bill. My number one issue was make sure representation. The minority has a representation. People come in as immigrant, and as somebody don't look like, I'm the only one at the Senate chamber look like me. So I try to work with different community, do whatever I need to do. If my door is open, I let everyone. Whenever I see, I let them know that my door is open. If you have anything, you live in my district, even in not in my district, Phoenix, Georgia, because thing is, the people that I represent around a couple of 100,000 folks, they voted me to elect. But there's 10, 11 million folks in this in state of Georgia. There are hundreds of thousands of people look like me, not necessarily in my district. They feel comfortable to come to me if they have an issue, state issue, federal issue. So my door is open. I try to work with every community that I can help any way I can, any issue they have. Sometimes I might not be within, it's not always within my power, but I can guide them. I can tell them who to call, where to go, and recommend. Those are the things I did. And I try to bring all the community together.
One of the first probably 4 or 5 years when we moved to United States, it was back in 2004, 2005, and 2006 lately. Um, most of not most of the community, but there was a lot of families that struggle to bring their family members to United States, and I always asked them to seek help from local representatives like senators and congressmen. In your case, let's say today we have over 200 families, Ahiska Turks in Atlanta. I'm talking about Atlanta, Georgia. we moved from Russia as immigrants, as the refugees. So, but after moving to United States, we have a lot of families back, in Russia, in other part of uh, past Soviet Union countries. Now, in that case, is anybody will be able to get help from you if they need in reunion what they call their families? Is there any way, the possibility that somebody can knock your door and say, "Can you please help me?" Anyhow,
Yes or no? See, directly, those are federal issue. I cannot do much, but still we can do. I'll give you an example. The first year, once I get elected, Korean community came to me. There's a lot of Korean came in after the Korean War, as in, where the children, they were brought to this country. And as you know, a number of years back at that, Korea wasn't that rich. So a lot of people didn't have their paperwork. They were in a limbo when President Trump came in and he wanted to remove all these folks and is not a citizen. They came to me. So with another senator, we passed a resolution urging Congress make sure the people came in 40, 50 years ago as a child, and somehow they were missing a paperwork or whatever it is, they were scared. So I did a resolution at the state level and asked Congress and send a letter to President Trump that make sure those people weren't hurt. So those are the things we can do individually or as a group. We can always recommend to the federal congressman or senator. Yes. So I cannot do directly, but definitely I can tell them
at
what to
least you
do
can
or
show
who
the
to do.
path where to go.
Yes, I can show the direction where to go.
Okay. So I got some questions coming out of our people that watching us today. We got Uyghur Turks. Maybe you heard about them.
Yes.
They live in China, and these days they got over a million of Uyghur Turks stay in prisons, and uh, they get in. I was just interviewing one of the sisters, probably like a couple weeks ago, and she was telling us horrible stories about people ruining their lives and everything. So, and these days I got a lot of people interested in what could be done on a senator level, on a congressman level, because we're trying to kind of knock the door and get the help to kind of criticize at least Chinese government at this point. Uh, does anything Democrats can help in this case to the Uyghur Turks? Maybe you heard about this case. I don't know.
Yeah, some of them. Thing is, we can always bring the issue up front, let
Right.
people know. And if some of those communities they are in Georgia, you can always go. I can find out which district they live in. They can always go to the local congressman and let them try to make an appointment and say, this is our issue, I want you to speak up, because those are federal issue. But definitely I can, in my position, I can help. Okay, this is the congressman you need to go, or try to make an appointment. Or if somebody live in my district, I can always refer to some of the people. Hey, they are having this issue, would you please sit down and talk? Even if you cannot sit with the congressman, but you can see the policy folks. A lot of people work behind the scene. They help shape the policy and a statement to come up with. So yeah, definitely there could be help. But that's why I feel comfortable as an immigrant. I want people to be comfortable, come with to me, and even if I cannot solve the problem, I can try to help them to elevate their concern. Yeah.
Um, Senator, we have elections coming up in November. Um, as a someone that has a citizenship and never vote, because our community start having citizenships last probably 10 years, and some of them vote, some of them maybe never vote. What is your suggestion in terms of voting or not voting, or if vote, then how? What's the procedure of it?
Everybody should vote. I became a citizen, even though I came in 1981. I did not actually become a citizen in 1995. And since then, I did not miss any single vote. It's very important, because what happened is your vote is your voice. anytime you go to the poll, doesn't matter if either you vote Democrat or Republican, it's counted because it shows up on the list based on your ethnicity, your name, who are the people showing up to the poll. So when you vote, you have a higher number. If you look at it, sometimes you're saying, or sometimes the congressman or senator, somebody don't want to see us, or uh, we don't get appointment, they are not your concern. One of the reasons they are not concerned because you are non-voting bloc, even if you're a citizen. So this is why it's so important. Everybody is eligible. I urge them to make sure you register and you vote. You know, I'm not saying I would love you to vote for Democrat. As a Democrat, I'm gonna argue that. But if you think you are not aligned with my party, if you feel you're comfortable with opposition party, still go and vote. This is going to be very important. Once you become a citizen, is in Georgia, you can go to Secretary of State, SOS, Secretary of State.government, and there's a page called MBP. You can find probably a link and send it to your guys. You can even, if you have a Georgia driver's license, it takes less than 5 minutes to register.
Online,
Once you
right?
register, yeah, once you register, you in the part of the system, and once you vote, your value go higher. You might not think that my vote don't count. If I do, just like an immigrant, they want to run for office, they think, oh, people are not going to vote for me or whatever reason. But the thing is, once you just, we are in a situation right now, we cannot stay on the sideline. As an immigrant, as a minority, we have to show up. We have to be front of the line. And only the one of the way we can be front of the line is by voting. It's so important because that's your right and that's your civil duty too. If you're a citizen, that should be your civil right, and that's your what do you call your job, your duty. That's what it took citizenship. Otherwise, where you take a citizenship?
Well, like for example, I'll give you example. In Russia, you don't have to register. If once you become a citizen, you automatically have a right to vote. Here in the United States, for example, you have to register to vote.
That's
Sometimes
correct.
they even ask you to vote. They're sending
Yeah,
this mail. Let's talk a little bit shortly about your district. So you have 2020, 2021, right? Coming up to these 2 years,
that's
serve,
correct.
or 22 also.
That's right. 21, 22.
21, 22. We got some, if I'm not mistaken, over close to 20 Turkish families, as I know, from our community. Um, we have majority here in Forsyth County
I
of
see.
Georgia. Most of us in Forsyth County, North Fulton County. So as I, you know, copy you that you said somebody that lives in North Fulton still can ask for help from you if
That's
he's
right.
not.
I'm willing to help people that are around the country. Doesn't have to around the state. It doesn't have to be because I can understand. Sometimes you write to your senator or your representative. In case they are not willing to help, I'm willing to help. I'll be glad to help. You know, I'll be glad to help.
Okay.
Or I can, if I can get other my colleagues to help, I'll do that too. I'll reach out.
Now, as we are first generation immigrants too, like me, I'm talking about myself personally. And as I was reading your history, your biography, it's kind of give you some energy for, like, you think, man, I'm an immigrant, I cannot do this. I can't go to be a senator, I can't be a congressman, I cannot do this. But once you see people like you, it doesn't matter the party. I'm not talking about party,
Sure.
the red, the blue, but what you see is it's possible. All you gotta do is just work for it.
Of
You know,
course.
Number one, I teach in a public school. I always used to tell my students, hey, education, you gotta study, you gotta study. They didn't like me for that, but today, after years, they find out that, yeah, I was, giving them a reality. They gotta study. We came to the country of opportunities. We gotta use it. We gotta be successful. And but the number one is education. What else is need to be a senator?
Well, of course, you need to have education. You have to have civic knowledge. You have to understand how the government function. That's the number one thing. Just because you have a PhD, not necessarily give you, knowledge how the government function. So I suggest, I want people to look at me. They say, hey, if this guy can be a senator, I can be too. But it's tough for first generation people like me. I wasn't born in this country, wasn't easy. But our children have a better future. So it's all about the future. You not always look at yourself. You try to do something better for the next generation of American, our children. They should not feel that they cannot do it. And the same time, if we are qualified, we think that we can do it. You have a basic education, you understand how the government function. We should step up and we should run too. And I'm not going to say somebody that go and run for senator or Congress, whatever it is. You don't know how the government function. It's always better to start with local level, like a city council, a county commissioner, a school board, those kind of things. Because I was in the politics long before, on and off, almost 30 some years. And I work with that volunteer, not work, volunteer with the county party, state party. I work in the election just like a school board, county commissioner, sheriff, uh, state house, state senator, lieutenant governor, governor. There's not one single position, elected office that I did not work on their campaign. What means, volunteer. Of course, didn't get no money, but I volunteered. I participated, so I know the system. So I urge everybody that work with the local county office, election, whoever running, if it's local sheriff or your DA, those are the campaign you need to work and learn how the system work, how the government work. And it's our civic duty too. Once you go around and work with the local folks, then you feel more comfortable. And election, of course, people have to have a trust in the area you live. Just like, you work with your neighbor and then you work in the community, and you can just work in your own community. Just like I say, you can work with your Turkish community, I can work in Bangladesh or Indian community, but you have to work with all the community if you want to get elected. That's the mindset. We are all people. Everybody came in this country. They were for better lives, for the future of our next generation. Even the people in this country been there for a long time. They want the same thing as we want. So
Mhm.
we have to have a common ground. We have to have a common ground.
It's probably easy for someone, let's say if I'm white and I'm in the white community, mostly it probably to be easy elected, and if I'm black and in a black community. But if you're telling me there's over 100 different communities in the fifth district, um, do you have to speak 100 languages?
No, the good thing is, in this country, we came from all different background, from all religious background. We look all different, but one thing in common: we all American. See, that's the number one key. We cannot, I cannot look at you and say, oh, this is Turkish American, this is Indian American, Bangladesh, which we are. Nothing wrong with that, because you keep your identity. And then, if you look at one of the last speeches of Ronald Reagan that gave, somewhere saying, this is, we are, anybody can come from anywhere and be an American,
Being American, yeah.
and I took that on heart too. So I'm just like American, just like everybody else, if it's white American or African American. So once you have that mindset, then makes it easier, and we have to work toward that.
Mr. Senator, since beginning of this year, we get into, unfortunately, pandemic, COVID-19, what they call. How your district helping people with the COVID-19 cases, and how they trying to prevent cases of COVID-19?
In a sad situation, if you look at in Georgia, United States, over 500 million people got affected, 175,000, if I'm correct, dead. In Georgia, we have 223 or 25,000 affected, almost 5,000 people died. In Georgia, is in a sad situation. And what I'm concerned right now, do we open up a school? My children, I'm not sending my children to school physically, doing online. So
I want to stop you
sometimes,
there, Mr. Senator. As education, you just point that you not sending your kids to school. Honestly, I'm not sending either.
yeah,
I'm doing homeschool
yeah.
for all my three kids today. We're doing homeschool. What's your encourage to people that, some of them are skeptical. They want to send, but understand, the what's going on outside. and what they call second wave. The second wave is not going to come from China anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to come from us, from between each other, because in the first wave, yeah, we sit home with in a quarantine, and then kind of we get better. But now we open up schools and restaurants and everything else, and second wave we're going to come from ourselves to us. It's kind of so. It's in terms of school system. What precaution taking Gwinnett County for the schools?
Well, right now, Gwinnett County is slowly opening up. I think it's next week. Certain grade, you're gonna go one, and then slowly, slowly people go. I'm really scared, to be honest with you. I'm not sending my children because it's not only my children, it's for every children, because we are not safe yet. We need to sacrifice. All of us need to sacrifice. That's a kind of sacrifice, keeping your children at home. It's a big sacrifice because mentally, physically, they're not growing. But I think we rather have it under control and then send our kid. I'll feel more comfortable, and I don't want my children to spread the disease, COVID to someone else, or I don't want my children to bring COVID back home. So those are the things I'm really still concerned. And if you see in Georgia, a lot of places they're opening school and then shutting down. So we are going same situation back in. I don't think we don't have to go back to shut down everything, but simple thing I ask or I tell everybody, to wear masks. It's a simple thing we can do. I always, whenever I go, I try to maintain the distance. I urge everybody, and you should uh, say the same thing to your community. Please wear a mask. It's not a big thing, but help. We try to preserve each other. Once we can get it under control, going to be better for all of us, because we don't know how soon the vaccine will be available, because it could be 6 months from now on. Personally, I think, I'm not a medical expert. I think it's going to be sometimes by next summer. So we might be stuck with it being any type of normalcy in our life until next summer or so, because it takes 12 to 18 months in order to have a vaccine, according to the medical expert, not me, what and we have to follow some guidelines. Even if you want to go out and do whatever it is, we thinking that keeping our kids at home is not, they're, missing out something, or sending out, they're gonna, make a difference. But we need to restrain. We need to do whatever we can to get out of this pandemic. And then, as you said, what I'm doing during the pandemic, a lot of people having trouble getting their unemployment checks, benefit checks. So I'm getting a lot of phone call. My office is flooded. My secretary get a phone call from 7 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock all day long, multiple of them. Not only me, most of the legislator. And we cannot provide, we can just refer to the labor department, try to expedite and try to help them make sure they get their paycheck, because a lot of people are hurting. A lot of minority, a lot of people, immigrant, because they don't have the access or cannot fill up the forms right, whatever it is. So those are the issues I've been trying to help them.
So as people went through PPP loan, EID loans, are those help still open for the businesses? Do you know by chance?
Some of it, I think it's some of it is based on some of the county received the money they gave away, and they received some more. So individually, I think that they're still going on in some different counties, and then we're still waiting for Congress to pass the second bill that was stuck right now at the Senate, because they're trying to negotiate, and we don't know exactly what is going to happen, because the election year, everybody's trying to, the Congress is like so partisan now. But I hope things are going to turn around, and somebody's going to come up, Congress is going to come up, and Senate, and the president will come up with something they can compromise, and let's move on, so average folks have some reliefs.
What is the update with the large group events like gathering, for example, some meet, just do we still keep 6 foot? Like, for example, weddings, I'm giving it as example. Um, how Gwinnett County does at this point? Do they still recommend some, or they just restrict some numbers?
Yeah, it's still restriction. It's not big. It's still, I believe, if I'm correct, still with the like 50 maximum and distance, those are still in effect, especially the number is growing. If you look at it, news that came out a few days ago, Georgia, one of the fastest in terms of percentage wise in new growth. So we can just really just open it up and say, hey, let's do everything else. And that's not a responsible thing to do. And I think since we suffer so much, we can need to suffer a little bit more, I think, before it gets anything better.
Okay. Um, what else could be? Let me see if somebody has a question here. Uh, okay. Um, now with when it comes to checks, people, we have people in community. They also getting kind of, I'm getting phone calls, and they said, well, I was not able to fill out for, unemployment. Does people still have a chance to apply for unemployment if they missed the deadline, and if they didn't apply back in February, March, April, can they go back and apply again for those missed months?
I think they can. I can absolutely be sure, but they can always check. If I'm correct, I think the labor offices, I'm getting a lot of phone calls because you're calling, the people are calling, they're not answering telephone and can get. But as far as I know, labor department is supposed to be opening soon. If they open, you can physically probably go over there or make an appointment and apply it. There should be some opportunity. As far as I know, even as of last week, I believe 40 some thousand folks in Georgia, uh, unemployment is not really processed yet because missing some information, or they think some could be fraudulent, whatever it is, they're doing investigation and they don't have enough staff to do all this processing. But they're going to open it up. Yeah, if you think that you should have got, you should not, doesn't matter what it says, you can always reapply. Yeah, government should be able to pay you for the month that you genuinely you deserve. You can always go back and ask for it.
Kind of unique question for Mr. Senator. Now, where's the Turkish community here in the United States, and you as a part of Bangladesh community, what it takes for community to be strong in the United States,
We
as a one piece, as a unity. What's the good characteristics of a good community?
To me, work with all the, as a minority, you have to stick together. Doesn't matter where you come from. As I tell all the folks that I have in my community, we are one. We cannot split. We have to help each other. We have to have our backs, and that's the way we're going to be stronger. And that's one of the reason. Another thing I tell everybody: census. This is going to be the most important things we can do, because when we when you are part of the census, you have a number. Higher number is always better than lower number, because, and then if you can work with other community, I tell people, you go to the meeting or celebration from different community, get to know. If we don't know each other, if we don't reach out to other community, we are isolating ourselves. As an
Mm.
American, we shouldn't isolate. We need to make more friends. That's why you invited. I'm so honored to be. I want people to know, hey, I'm one of you. And I want you to know that, I might come to you and you might come to you. We have to work each other. And that's the community we need to build. And that's how we can be strong. Number makes a difference. If one community get in trouble, we all should go and help that community. That will make us strong. That way we need to set up an example. That's what the America stand for. That's what our values are. Yeah. That's what we need to do.
Mr. Senator, um, it was a quick, fast, and meeting with you tonight. Uh, what would you like to say before you go to the people today that think to be senator is a hard
Well,
life?
but it's hard, but it's possible. And what I want you to do is, reach out to me if I can be any helpful, whatever. I'll be glad to do it. And it is nothing impossible. And my last word, I want people to look at me and say, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. And pray for me. That's the best thing you know. Pray for me, and I'll pray for each other. We all need to pray, and we need to stick together, and we need to help each other. We need to reach out to each other, and that will make all of us stronger.
Senator Sheikh Rahman of the Georgia State Senate, 5th District. I appreciate your good experience, your knowledge sharing with us. Have a good night. Say hi to a big family.
Thank you very much. And thanks again for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.
It's my pleasure.